Hello. In this video, I'm going to talk about the field dependency business mapping, which arrived in coreBOS at the end of 2018. It's a very demanded feature. We've been asked for this for a long time, and it really is kind of useful and helpful for the users. So we finally got around to implementing it as a business map. It's a rather complex business map. It has a lot of it's very powerful and very complex to configure. So hopefully in the near future, very near future, we should have a map editor for this, among others. So we make it a little bit easier. At the moment, it follows the same philosophy that all of other business maps have in coreBOS, where you have to manually create the XML and get it right. Here we have some documentation, and I'm going to show you how it works a little bit. The idea is that when you edit a record in coreBOS, one of the demanded feature is that when I change this pick list, for example, well, that actually happens now. If I change this pick list, this other pick list changes. Okay, that's a dependency. That's a field dependency in itself. In this case, it's a pick list dependency, where the values of this pick list depend on the value of this pick list, previous pick list, and the values in this one and this one depend on that one. Okay, now that's a field dependency in itself. Okay, but that was about all that you could do in coreBOS up to now. Now with this field dependency mapping, what we can do is that any field can condition any other field and operation on the module. So if I changed industry to banking, I could maybe hide the custom information block, for example, or unhide a field or make some other field read only, and that kind of logic. Okay, that is exactly what the field dependencies mapping is for. You can define very complex conditions, whereas you could say if this field that is changing, okay, because basically it always depends on the change event. Okay, one field changes, and when that field changes, we have to modify other fields. The change in that field can be conditioned. Okay, so you can actually say, okay, if it's equal to this, or if it's not equal to this, or if it starts with, or it's bigger than, or smaller than. It's not just when it changes. You can actually define also when it changes and do something on a certain condition. Obviously, these conditions can be grouped and constructed into very complex things. So you could actually say, okay, if this field changes and this other field has this value while another field is different than some other value, then I have to hide this block. Okay, that kind of logic where you can actually define how the form has to change depending on a whole bunch of conditions. The actions you can take once you've defined and captured a change, and you decided that the conditions fulfill your necessity, your requirement, then what happens? What can you do once you detected that change that you want to do? Well, you can change, assign, you can change a value on another field. You can set options and delete options in a pick list. Okay, so you can add different options. So if you say, okay, if they select banking in industry, then some other pick list doesn't have to have these other four values or whatever. You can hide fields, you can show fields, you can collapse a block or open a block, you can make a block disappear completely, or if it was hidden, you can make it appear. You can make a field read only, so you can see the value, but you can't. The user will not be able to change it. Editable, which is the reverse case of read only. You can enable or disable a field, and then okay, these are the standard kind of features or actions that we implemented because we understand that that's mostly what everybody asks for. But then we also added a generic function kind of thing where we'll call the function that you tell us, and we'll pass it in the field that changed, the action field, the change field, the action field, what field are you going to operate on, the new value and the old value, and any additional parameters that you defined in the XML. So you could really kind of create your own functions and do anything, any kind of logic that you need. Obviously, you can push, you can plug in your own JavaScript into any module using the events and the hooks. So it opens up the possibilities enormously. We also added some standard functions which you can also use. We added them because we needed them or whatever, and they're there, so you can use them also. This is assign a new value, which is basically the same as change. We can add some days or subtract some days from a field. You can filter it and eliminate any letters or any numbers. Okay, so we could make a field just have letters or just have numbers with these functions. You can format a field, which is based on the sprintf format. We can do a get field, which is a very interesting option, whereas you can say, okay, when this field changes, I want you to call the backend, go to the database, and retrieve the value of some other field on another module and load that into some other field. Okay, so we can actually fill in fields depending on information in the backend that's related to the record you have on screen. And we have a change label field function, which is not implemented. It's here. We would like to get to that, and we will, but it's not working yet. Basically, the idea would be able to format some coloring in the field, so make it more relevant. Make make a red border around the field, kind of saying, okay, now you are obligated, or this is a mandatory field now that you change this other field. You make this field mandatory, and you kind of make it, you highlight it in some way too, so that it's easier for the user to know that they have to fill that in or not. Anyway, we'll get to this. Okay, the format of the map is similar to many others, where we have the module that we're going to affect, that this has to apply to, and then we have a whole bunch of dependencies. The dependencies apply to a field, in this case, campaign name. When this field changes and this set of conditions are met, then you have to do a set of actions. You have, in this case, we have to change the sponsor field to this value, the campaign name to this value. We have to hide this field, and we have to make this field read-only. Okay, so you can see the map is rather simple. It doesn't have very complex, the logic is very, very simple. It's what it has to do. You define the dependency. You say this field, when this happens, it has to have these actions. Okay, let's see another examples. Here we have some notes on the name of the map has to be this, which is always the same. We always do the same kind of, or almost always do the same kind of logic. In coreBOS, the picklist dependencies are respected. Some notes here. Here's another example. Here is on the payment module, and it says, okay, when the amount changes and that amount is m is less than 0, then the payment category pick list has to be set to infrastructure. Okay, so that's a change. Okay, so when the amount field is negative, then automatically the payment category will be set to infrastructure. That sounds pretty nice. Let's give that a try. I'm going to copy this one over. I'm going to go into my coreBOS, my test coreBOS that we have here. Let's go to business maps. Here we have to go to payment module, and we create a new record, which is coreBOS power field dependency. This is a field dependency type. I paste in that, and here we put payment module, and that should be about all I need. Okay, I actually just copy pasted that one over there. So if I create a new record here, and this payment category is set to infrastructure, I'm going to set it to taxes, and I'm going to set the amount to -10. Okay, that didn't work. -10. As you can see, the payment category changed to infrastructure. Okay, if I set this back to taxes and put here a 10, and I move out of the okay, the action actually takes place when you leave the field. Okay, I have to, when I change the -10, it doesn't change. When I click outside the field is when the browser detects that the field has changed and launches the condition. So I change that. So as you can see, really nice, really rather simple. I mean, in this case, the hard part here is getting this kind of strange condition format here, which is very complex. It's an internal syntax that coreBOS has been using since 2005. You can create it. You can get it rather easily on the list view. It's easy to capture this kind of format. It's documented in the wiki. Hopefully, as I said before, we're going to make we are finishing a map generator. So it's going to be a graphical interface where you're just going to have to click, kind of select the fields and get the conditions, and it will generate this format for you. So it's kind of a machine generated format that you don't have to worry about it. But in the meantime, you can look in the wiki and find there's a description of how to get this information out of the list view. Okay. Another example here. In this case, the same condition, but we have two actions. It actually sets. Oh, this is nice. Okay, it sets the payment category to infrastructure, and then it makes it read only. Because if you noticed here, when I actually change this, I go back to the application. When I actually change this to -10 and I change it to infrastructure, I can actually change it back. So I'm not enforcing that value in any way. So if we come here and we edit this, let's edit full edit, and we add this other condition here. It said change that, and the other condition is to make it read only. Okay, so let's copy this action here, and we'll paste it here. Okay, and we save. So now if I reload this edit, this create thing, oh, it made it read only directly. Because it's less than, okay, directly. Okay, that's because the M condition is actually less than or equal. So when I reloaded the screen, it detected that it's lower than 0 or equal to 0, so it made it directly editable. Okay, now if I made it bigger, as set of 10, actually I get the value back. Okay, so now I can set it to travel, and when I do the -10, it will set it back to infrastructure mandatory, read only. Okay, so as you can see, really powerful, not very complicated, but very useful. Okay, let's just skim over some other options here. This one is also on the payment module. It says the same condition, and it actually sets the option. Okay, this is doing a set option instead of a change. That means that it actually adds this value to the list if it's not already there. And in this case, it eliminates all of the other ones directly. And then it sets it to that value. Okay, so it actually changes the pick list values to completely. Nice. Different. It's basically the different ways of doing the same thing. Okay, let's copy this and have a look just to see if it how that logic would work. Let's edit the full screen. Okay, so now I'm changing the whole set of actions, basically all of them. Get rid of them all and paste in the set options, the del options, and the changes. Okay, let's see how that works. So reload this, and here, since it's 0, I only have infrastructure. It actually eliminated all the other values from there. Okay, now if I change this, okay, let's get a new one. Let's edit this one. Okay, I have all of the values because it's 381, and I have all of the values and it's set to stock. Okay, so if I change this to 0, I actually eliminates from the pick list all of the values. And if I get it back to a bigger value, it doesn't restore them. We have to check that. because most of the time it does undo the values. But on the pick list, we have some fine tuning to do there. Obviously, you could create in that case another condition, another dependency where it says if the field is the other way around, then we can reset the values back to what it has to be. Okay, so if we add another condition here, we add another dependency completely, a new dependency, and we say that the condition has to be, where are the conditions here? Less or equal. So now it's less or equal than 0. So now we want it to be a bigger than 0. No, a is, it's g, bigger than 0. Okay, let's leave this here so we can get back to it, and let's go back here. Okay, in this case now I'm saying that I want it to, if it's bigger than 0, then I want to set options. I want to get the options back into the payment category, basically all of the ones that are there. Okay, so I get this and this. Okay, so I eliminated the delete option, and I say, okay, when it's greater than 0, then you set the options in the payment category back to the values that were already there. And you set it to, we could change it to some other value, but in this case, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Whatever value is there is fine. Okay, so now if we edit, re-edit this one, reload this page, it's 381. I have stock infrastructure and I have all the values. If we set this to 0, I lose all the values and I just have infrastructure. And if I get a bigger value, now I have again all of the values in the pick list. Okay, so you can actually fix that. Okay, like I said, we are still fine tuning some things, and this the pick lists are kind of special. And we will get to that because we have to recover the values. Basically, the biggest problem we're having are on translation because the values are not we don't have the translated values. So it's kind of, we have to do some more, we have to get some more information into the edit screen so that we can, anyway, you can manipulate the pick list. You just have to do a little bit more work than with normal other fields like numbers and that, which would just work basically. Here we have on the accounts module a bigger condition where it says if employees are smaller than 100 and bill country is Spain, or employees is bigger than 100 and bill country is Albania, then we have to hide the ownership, collapse the address box. Okay, here we have the whole thing, all of the conditions, and here we have the hide the ownership and collapse the whole label address block. And then we have another condition here on the billing country, which does some other magic. Okay, here we have a function where it says, okay, if it's on invoices, set the due date to 30 days more than the invoice date. This is a typical one. Since we have the field dependency add date function, basically we say, okay, you're editing an invoice. I want you to change when the invoice date change. I want you to set the due date to 30 days more. Okay, that should just work. We can also give that a try if you, yeah, just to see how that works. Let's go back over here. Let's create a new business map. This one is on invoice field dependency, field dependency map on invoice, and the map is the one we just copied from over there. And if we now go to the invoice and we create a new one or edit one, it will work also, should work also. Invoice date, due date is invoice date, and due date is the first day of January. If I change this to the 15th and we move out, okay, that one didn't work. Okay, I'll check out why. Oh, there's no error either. Did I actually create that correctly? Where are you? Invoice. Okay, Invoice field dependency, invoice map, invoice dependency. Let's see if there's an error here, maybe. Invoice date actions function. This I don't think this would element origin module. This is not expected. Let me see that one before that one. Anyway, I'll check that out. Okay, I'll check it out and see why it didn't work. But anyway, that should just work. It's probably something that I did wrong somewhere, probably defined in the map or something. Uh, and here we have another one which does the only numbers. These aren't released yet. They'll be very soon. Get fields also. This is that one's going to change too. And that's about it. Anyway, it's all documented here. And so as you can see, the functionality is very powerful. Uh, and very useful really because it's something that the users can you kind of help your users get the form right, kind of handhold them through the process of creating and kind of getting the data consistent and all that. uh, it's, as I said, it's a new feature as of December 2018. So there's probably some little things that we have to iron out yet, but if you use it and have any problems, get back to us, we'll fix them for you. And we are actively using it already, so it's a very useful feature, and I hope it makes your core boss a little bit more productive and your users a little bit more happy. Thanks for watching.